Hello there, hi, it's Julie Rothel here from artyheaven.com. I wanted to jump on today and talk a little bit about the word encaustic and what it means. It causes a huge amount of confusion with people. So I thought I would try and unravel a little bit of that mystery from my understanding in the UK. As with all the research that I have done on the word. So I'm going to begin by talking about what encaustic. So I'm referring to encaustic wax painting here, and I'm going to swizzle this around and actually just look at the actual root word of encaustic, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit about some of the confusions that come in with people. So let me squizzy this around quickly. So I'll pull this out. So this is a printout that I use on my courses and online courses and things. But this is the UK the root origin of the word encaustic. Hopefully this is holding still well enough for you to be able to see, even take a screenshot. So as an adjective, encaustic means in painting and ceramics, decorated by burning in colours as an inlay, especially using coloured clays or pigments mixed with hot wax. And then as a noun, it's actually the art or process of encaustic painting. So if you look at the actual origins of the word, it comes from the word enkalin, which means to burn, which is a Greek origin word. It then went to enkalin. Greek, it was enkaustikos, and it turned to sort of in Latin in the late 16th century became encaustic. So it was via Latin from the Greek enkaustikos, from enkalin to burning, and that is the actual origin of the word encaustic. So that's the actual word, but the confusion with encaustic is because it's used with encaustic wax. People think that the wax is encaustic. They think it's like toxic, or that it's something to do with wax. It's actually nothing to do with the wax that you're using. It's actually the process of heating the wax that makes it encaustic. So it's a really confusing word. There is added confusion to that in terms of there are two different, very different types of working with wax. So there's a really good easy beginners level, which complete beginners come in. There are no very little health and safety considerations to take into account, and that is encaustic wax. It's using pre-coloured small wax blocks, and they're really easy. It's by the main company that I use is Arts Encaustic as a company. And that is where you use one single thin layer, generally using an iron or a heated stylus, and you paint that onto paper in one thin single layer. There is another style of painting with wax, and this is much more involved. And this includes beeswax with a daymar resin, and then you add your pigments and you layer that up in layers. By adding the daymar resin, it's a much higher quality, you can get much thicker layers, and you basically fuse one layer to another and build them up, these pictures up in layers, and they have to be on a rigid support. And it's a very different process. You need to be much more aware of health and safety considerations. You're working at a much higher heat. So there are sort of two very different things, and some people refer to it, rightly or wrongly, as different people have got different opinions. So some people view the one style of art, say for example, with the wax and daymar, as proper encaustic, and the low heat encaustic not as encaustic. But actually it's not, because it's the actual word, the process of heating makes it encaustic. You can go and get an old Crayola crayon, go and melt it with a hairdryer. It's a really low grade wax. By heating that wax, you are encaustic painting. So it's actually not to do with the type of wax that you're using. There's another term that goes around that I hear you called American wax style versus European wax style, which some people relate to the higher heat wax and daymar versus the lower heat with the iron. But again, it is the process of encaustic painting that makes it encaustic, not the waxes that you're using. And then in addition to that, I'm involved with a European encaustic group, A really good group to go to, actually. If you search EEA, Encaustic Artists, I think it is, on Facebook, there's loads of really helpful information in there. Encaustic in Europe is particularly difficult to get your hands on and find and locate supplies. So we've got this European group. But one thing that's become very apparent in there for me is I'm one of the group administrators in there. One of the things that has become apparent for me is even down to the languages within individual countries, the word encaustic, the information that they can reference doesn't reference this wax and daymar style. So it's really, really an evolving thing, and there are just different interpretations via country and the styles of the wax that people work with. So just to kind of clear that up, maybe, or maybe confuse even more, certainly from my, well, this is my principle on the whole thing. The word encaustic wax painting is purely to do with the process of heating the wax, not the style of wax that you work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of lives this week to try and just demystify some of the confusions that come around with painting with wax. So tune in, or try and catch these lives, or I'm going to repost on my YouTube channel as well. And I'll actually get some wax and daymar out tomorrow so you can see what that is. I'm going to do a couple of interviews and just sort of talking to different artists about encaustic wax, and try and just share some of the confusion, if you like, that goes on. So if you're interested in seeing more, do put down in the comments below anything that you would like me to answer, because what is common sense for me, and I understand because I've been working with encaustic for so long, isn't necessarily relevant for a complete beginner, or, you know, isn't apparent for a new beginner. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below, and I will try my best to answer them for you. All right, well, take care now. Bye.